Hello and welcome everyone. This is Miss Walaa Samir, and today we will deal with the events of a new chapter of The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. We have today chapter 15, which is entitled The Track of a Storm. Dr. Manette didn't return until the morning of the fourth day. He tried to hide from Lucy all the dreadful details that happened during that time. When she returned to England, she knew they attacked the prisons and that 1,100 defenseless prisoners, men and women of all ages, had been killed by the people of Paris. While he told Mr. Lorry that the crowd had taken him through scenes of terrible killing to the prison. When Dr. Manette went to La Force, he found self-appointed judges sitting. He had given his name and profession as having been for 18 years a secret and unaccused prisoner in the Bastille. One of the judges was Devarge. Dr. Manette also knew that Darnay was one of the alive prisoners. He tried to get him out, but the false judges refused. He did his best to get Darnay to a trial, but the tide was too high to do that. He used his position as a doctor in inspecting on 3 prisons, among them La Force, to take care of Darnay. He could assure Lucy that Darnay wasn't in a single cell, but with the other prisoners. He could see him weekly and take his oral messages to Lucy and vice versa. Whereas Lucy wasn't allowed to write to him, as that would threaten their lives. The new age began, in which the king was tried, condemned, and beheaded. The Republic of Liberty, Equality, Fraternity, or Death was declared. The black flag, which is a symbol of anarchy, waved night and day from the great towers of Notre Dame, in which 300,000 men from all the different parts of France gathered to revenge from the tyrants. The figure of the sharp female, the guillotine, was a dreadful familiar figure since the early beginning of the revolution. Even it was a popular subject of humor, such as it was the best cure for headaches. It prevented hair turning gray. It gave a special color to the cheek. It was the national shaver which shaved a little too close. Among these terrors, the doctor walked with a steady head, confident in his power, never doubting that he would save Lucy's husband in the end. Yet, Darnay had spent a year and 3 months without any change. Dr. Manette was in a strange situation in which he had to help both the murderers and victims in hospitals and prisons. At the meantime, Lucy was never sure from hour to hour whether the guillotine would strike off her husband's head the next day. One day, her father showed her about a certain place in which if she stood, Darnay could see her from the window of his cell, without her seeing him at 3 in the afternoon. Since that time, she never missed a day, in all weathers. Sometimes she took little Lucy with her and stood for 2 hours daily from 2 to 4 o'clock. She knew from her father that Darnay could see her whenever possible to him, and that was enough for her. That street had a small house for a woodcutter who saw Lucy going there every day and knew she was standing for one of the prisoners inside. In December, Dr. Manette told Lucy that Darnay would stand before the judges tomorrow. He should be restored to her within a few hours, and that he had surrounded him with every possible protection. Charles Evremond, called Darnay, was taken to the jury with another 15 prisoners. There were 5 judges as well as a large crowd of the public attending the trial. Of the men, the greater part were armed in various ways. Of the women, some wore knives, some ate and drank, and many knitted. At the front row was Madame and Monsieur Devarge. Dr. Manette, besides Mr. Lorry, were there too. All the 15 prisoners were condemned in an hour and a half. Charles Evremond, called Darnay, trial began. The public prosecutor accused him of being an immigrant, whose head should be taken off as the other immigrants. So called the crowd too. The judge silenced the crowd, asking Darnay to defend on himself. Darnay's reasons were based on Dr. Manette's instructions. He had freely given up his title, which he didn't like. He had left his country before the word immigrant was used, to live by his own hard work in England. The judge asked for proofs to his sayings. Darnay handed the names of Gabriel and Dr. Manette. The judge asked him about his marriage to an English woman. Darnay replied that she was a French citizen by birth, Lucy Manette, the only daughter of Dr. Manette, the good doctor who was sitting in the trial as well. The crowd was affected by these words. There were cries of praise for the well-known doctor. The judge asked him about the reason for his return to France when he did, and not sooner. Darnay replied that he hadn't returned sooner simply because he had no means of living in France, as he had given up all his wealth and belongings to the peasants. While in England, he lived by teaching the French language and literature. Moreover, he had returned when he did because of the letter he had received from his servant Gabriel, begging him to come and save his life irrespective of the personal risk he might face to save a French citizen in need. He ended his self-defense words saying, "Was that a crime against the Republic?" The crowd replied, "No," enthusiastically. The judge called for Gabriel, who was the first witness for Darnay. He was the one who asked Darnay to come to France to rescue him through his letter. He was set free 3 days just before Darnay's trial. Gabriel confirmed Darnay's sayings. Dr. Manette made sure that Gabriel's letter was among the papers of the trial, as a strong proof for Darnay. Dr. Manette was questioned next. His personal popularity and the clearness of his answers made a great impression. He showed that Darnay was his first friend on his release from his long imprisonment. Darnay remained in England. He didn't travel from and to France. Darnay was faithful and devoted to his daughter. Darnay was tried as the enemy of England for France before. After finishing his words, both the jury and the people became one. The jury declared him free. The crowd carried Darnay home in triumph. Only 2 didn't like the court decision, Madame and Monsieur Devarge. The questions on this chapter are: what did Dr. Manette keep as a secret from Lucy? How did Dr. Manette use his old suffering to help Darnay? How was the new age? How was la guillotine a popular subject of humor? How long was Darnay in la force? What did Lucy do during that period? Describe the court on the day of Darnay's trial. What did the people do after the trial? How did Darnay go home? Thank you so much for being here, and see you in chapter 16. Bye!